Very good morning, students. We are going to discuss the topic reproduction in plants and animals. There are so many organisms are living around us, isn't it? That may be living things and non-living things. So, what is the difference between living things and non-living things? So, living things means it can be moved from one place to another place. This is non-living things means it cannot be moved from one place to another place. At the same time, very important one, can be reproduced their young ones, living things. It cannot be reproduced their young ones, that is known as non-living things. Isn't it? So the reproduction is first. So what is meant by reproduction? So reproduction means the ability to reproduce their offspring or young ones. That is known as reproduction. Okay. Then in reproduction, which one carry the genes from one generation to another generation? You know, which one carry the genes from one generation to another generation? So this is the DNA. So the DNA is carry the genes from one generation to another generation. So this DNA is known as genetic material. Okay. Why it is called genetic materials, or the DNA is called as genetic material? Why? Because it carries the genes from one generation to another generation. So it is known as genetic materials. Next, the reproduction is mainly classified into three types. One is vegetative reproduction, asexual reproduction, and sexual reproduction. So what are the types? One is vegetative, second one is asexual, then sexual reproductions. So first we'll see the vegetative reproductions. So this vegetative means there are so many types. So vegetative means the body parts of the plants or animals produce their offspring. That is known as vegetative reproduction. For example, the body parts of the plant like root, stem and leaf. So these are produced the new young ones. That is known as vegetative reproductions. So first we will see the leaves of the plants. That leaves produce their young ones. For example, bryophyllum. So this bryophyllum plant reproduce the leaf alone produce their young ones. Okay, that is known as vegetative reproductions. And stem. So it can be seen in the strawberry. The strawberry plants is what is called the leaves touch the ground and what is run off the advantageous roots at the same time the buds also. Then the parent plant is broken. Parent plant is broken. It will become the dependent life. That is known as the vegetative reproduction in stem. Then root. So vegetative propagation method can be used in the root of vegetative reproduction. So for example, asparagus and the sweet potato is an example for this vegetative reproduction in root. Then fragmentations. The fragmentations means the every pieces of the body plants or organs produce their young ones. That is known as fragmentation. Fragmentations means fragment, to cut. So each and every body plants produce their young ones. For example, spirogyra. Spirogyra is an example for fragmentation. So here, this is the shape of the spirogyra. So this is cut into many pieces. Then each pieces grown into a new spirogyra. So this is for fragmentations. Then fission. The fission means division. Fission means a division. The body parts divisible into two daughter cells or many daughter cells. That is known as fission. That every parts or the daughter cells produce their young ones. For example, in amoeba. So what is the shape of amoeba? It is an irregular shape. It is an irregular shape. It will be divided into first the fission. First the cytoplasm divides at the same time the nucleus also divides. This is nucleus and the cytoplasm. And next level it can be divided into two daughter amoebae are produced. So this is known as a daughter amoeba. So it can be seen in amoeba in fission. Then budding. So budding means the mother plant produce the buds. Okay. So the buds after the maturation of buds, it is detached from the mother plants and it become an independent life, or it will produce the new organisms. It will be seen in hydra. Now the shape of the hydra. So this is first it will be arranged here, bud, small bud arises from the mother plant. So this is the mother hydra, it will arise here bud. So then after the maturation of buds, this is detached from. So this is detached from the mother plant. It will be fell into the substratum of the soil. Then it will be produced the tentacles and all parts of the mother plants, and it will be become an independent life. So this is known as budding. Okay. Then regenerations. What is meant by regeneration? The ability to loss of the body parts of an individuals of an organisms gives rise to whole parts of the body plant. That is known as regenerations. For example, hydra. So the hydra, suppose any parts removed from the body means this is cut down from the body. So it will arise this whole parts of the body from this piece of the plant or organisms. That is known as regenerations. Then next will see the asexual reproductions. So asexual reproductions, what is meant by asexual reproductions? Here there is no gametes involved. So here the body parts produce their offsprings, isn't it? Here the vegetative reproductions. Asexual reproductions means here there is no involvement of the gamete or without the gametes. Without the involvement of gamete. That is known as asexual reproductions. Okay. Here the spores produce the individual or an organisms. For example, penicillium. First it will produce the hyphae. Foragium. the sporangium produce the sporangiospores. So the spores, again it will be fell into the substrate. That is known as spore formations in asexual reproductions. Can you understand? Asexual reproduction, there is no gamete involvement, isn't it? But sexual reproduction means there are two gametes involved in this sexual reproduction. One is the male gamete and the female gamete. So the fusion of the male and female gamete form a zygote. Yeah, the zygote. Then the zygote undergoes the divisions that form a new organisms. So here the male gamete is haploid n number of chromosomes. At the same time, the female also haploid n number of chromosomes. The fusion of male and female gamete form a zygote. The zygote develop into a new organism. So this process is known as sexual reproduction. Can you understand? Okay. Next, sexual reproduction in plants. Sexual reproduction in plants. So the plants reproduce their young ones, isn't it? By the process of two ways. There are two ways or the two processes. One is the pollination, and the second one is fertilization. Pollination and fertilization. So first event is known as in plants, the first event is known as pollination. Okay, then second event fertilization. So what is meant by pollination first? The pollination means so this is the typical parts of a flower. So this is a stigma, style, then oval. So first we will see the pollination. What is meant by pollination? So here the pollen grains are present. So the transfer of pollen grains, this is the pollen grains. The transfer of pollen grain from anther to the stigma of the flower. Anther to the stigma of the flower, that is known as pollination. So what is the definition of pollination? The transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of the flower, that is known as pollination. Okay. So based on this, the pollinations is classified into two types. One is the self-pollination and the cross-pollination. So what are the types of pollination? Self-pollination and the cross-pollination based on these pollinations. Next we will see the types of a typical plant. Or parts of a typical plant. So what are the parts involved in the plant? First one is the calyx, corolla, and rhizium, and dioecium. Okay, what are the parts of a plant? One is calyx, corolla, and rhizium, and dioecium. So first will the calyx. First one is the calyx. So calyx is a green color that is present in the base of the flower. Okay, it is the base of the flower and it is green in color. And next we see the corolla. So corolla means it is a colorful petals. So what is mean by corolla? The single one, that is known as petals. The petals together form a corolla. Okay, so the corolla is a colorful and varying size in various plants. Why it is various color? You know why it is various present in various color? Because it will attract the insects for pollinations. So it is look like a colorful. Then androecium. Next we will see the androecium. So androecium is the stamens. The stamens together form a androecium. The stamen together form a androecium. There are two parts. One is anther and another one is filament. Anther and another one is the filament. It will be constituted the androecium. So androecium is the male part of the plant, male part of the reproductive part. Then gynoecium. So gynoecium has three parts. One is stigma, then style and the oval. So these are the three parts of the gynoecium. The gynoecium is the female part of the plant. So androecium is the male reproductive part of the plant. Gynoecium is the female reproductive part of the plant. So these are the reproductive part of the plant. And the calyx and the corolla is the non-essential part. Why it is called non-essential part of the plant? Because the calyx and the corolla is not involved in the pollinations. So this is non-essential.